sister drown in a pool of her own making. I spent my childhood digging through donation bags for clothes my sister L'Oreal threw away. She always got everything new while I got her scraps. For Christmas, I watched L'Oreal open a second winter coat in case the first one got dirty, while I got her old jacket with a broken zipper that wouldn't even move. Even on my 14th birthday, when I begged for one new floral dress, my parents handed me L'Oreal's old sweatpants in a garbage bag. Buying something new for you would be too expensive, they said, only to buy L'Oreal a $300 homecoming dress the next week. I tried to complain, but my parents shut me down immediately. Are you crazy? How entitled do you have to be to ask for new clothes when your sister's hand-me-downs work perfectly? Just like that, I was supposed to sit down and accept the status quo. I even knew why they did this. L'Oreal was planned while I was a surprise, aka an unwanted pregnancy. But when I found her prom dress in the actual trash, a $500 pink gown worn once, thrown out like how my parents basically did with me, I felt excited. It was like finding treasure. I pulled it out and spent hours removing the tiny wine stain she deemed ruined. You look perfect, I whispered to it once it was finished. After that, I became obsessed with transforming L'Oreal's discards into something completely new. I taught myself to sew from YouTube, learned pattern making from library books, and spent every allowance dollar on thread, needles, and vintage buttons. That trash prom dress became 3 different pieces: a cocktail dress, a structured blazer, and a silk scarf. I even joined online communities for upcycling and sustainable fashion, where people actually praised my work instead of mocking it. Your transformations are incredible, they'd comment. You see potential where others see garbage. My bedroom became a workshop with a secondhand sewing machine and carefully organized fabrics sorted by color and texture. When L'Oreal barged in complaining about the mess, she didn't even recognize her old clothes transformed into the pieces on my mannequin. Why does your room look like a sweatshop? She'd mock. No wonder you have no friends. But I did have friends. Other creators who understood that fashion wasn't about buying new, but about vision and craftsmanship. By senior year, I had a huge following that watched me transform trash to treasure. Local boutiques started commissioning pieces. It's just playing dress up, she'd tell our parents about my growing business. Not a real career like influencing. Before I realized I had my own sustainable fashion line featured in Vogue, L'Oreal had gotten engaged to some finance guy and spent more time planning her wedding than working, still trying to become Instagram famous, still buying and discarding clothes like they meant nothing. Then in a strange turn of events, L'Oreal showed up at my doorstep 3 days before her wedding. She had her entire bridal party behind her, and tears were streaming down her face, ruining her usually perfect mascara. There was an incident at the venue. Red wine all over my Vera Wang. It's completely destroyed. You fix clothes, right? You have to help me, she ranted, shoving a wine-stained dress at me. I examined the burgundy disaster. I can't fix this, but I might have some white pieces in my studio. She rolled her eyes. Your hobby room? Is that even real? I nodded and led them downstairs. The studio had walls of carefully preserved and transformed pieces from over the years, all L'Oreal's former clothes redesigned and displayed on professional mannequins. L'Oreal stood in the doorway while her bridesmaids rushed in, touching everything with excitement. You still have all these old rags? L'Oreal scoffed, but then she heard her bridesmaid literally screaming, L'Oreal, look, this dress is $6,000. This jacket is $3,000. These are designer level prices. She was taking photos of everything. I watched L'Oreal's face change as she finally started looking, really looking, at the pieces. She walked slowly toward an ivory gown until she spotted something that made her freeze. Are you kidding me? This was mine. This pink fabric was my prom dress. I smiled. Well, it was. But you threw it in the trash, called it ruined over a tiny stain. I pulled it out, kept it safe, and transformed it when it was worth nothing to you. That's the funny thing about value. Worthless to you, priceless to others. L'Oreal walked around the room, her hands shaking, but her face was burning with humiliation as her bridesmaids kept praising work made from clothes she'd thrown away. Each compliment they gave me seemed to physically hurt her. She actually flinched when they called me brilliant, and went rigid when they said visionary. Meanwhile, her bridesmaids were carefully examining seams, asking if I could teach them my techniques. I showed them the proper way to deconstruct and preserve fabric. The key is respecting what you have. After I finally showed L'Oreal the replacement wedding dress, she paid the full price of $4,500 without saying a word.